Hi, everybody. This is Kendra from PreschoolersandPeace.com, and I have got Michele with me. Michele White. We had a few little technical glitches this morning, or this afternoon, but we're okay. I think it's the heat. Can we blame the heat?
Absolutely. Whatever we can, yeah, the heat, the mosquitoes, I don't know, what I ate for lunch.
What is the weather where you are?
It is about 108 today,
Yeah, I know.
and
It is here
yeah,
too.
and
Crazy.
my AC came on this morning at like 8:30.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not outside this week. I'm actually in my bathroom. So.
Yeah, well, I'm in my husband's office, which is part of the fun. He has a huge setup with like 7 screens or five, six. Anyway, so I thought, oh, I'll come in his office because it's air conditioned and it feels really good.
Yeah.
But he and I had to kind of work out some kinks with the computers. So he's over in the corner. So if I start laughing, it's because he's making comments.
That's all right. We need a little, we need a peanut
Peanut
gallery.
gallery.
Uh, well, I love this topic because I just feel like you are one of those people that is so great at hospitality. And really, if you're not friends with Michele on Facebook, then you don't know that she's often popping status updates up there that say things like, my husband's working tonight. Who wants to come over for a chick flick and a margarita? So I just love that you have this ease about
Well,
you.
because he does travel a lot, so it's nice to have people over.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. But I just love that you don't worry about perfection. You don't worry about kids at your feet. You just say, come on over and let's live life together. And I love that about you. So this whole topic of hospitality, I know it really intimidates a lot of moms. It intimidates a lot of young moms because life is chaotic as it is, and the thought that my house is not nice, or we don't have good furniture yet, or we can't afford to feed people anything other than hot dogs and beans. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Like, let's just take it from the very beginning. What do you think are the major hindrances for women deciding that they're going to open their home? Are you there? Oh, I
Yep, so
lost Michele.
hopefully the video is coming out okay. I could hear you, but I'll go ahead and get started. Um, I think the major hindrance to people having other people over is simply that they are afraid that their house isn't clean enough or that the food isn't good enough. And I think hospitality is about. Hospitality is about people. It's about relationships. And so it doesn't matter what the house looks like or what the food is. There doesn't even have to be food in order for there to be hospitality. So I think that's the major hang up, is that people are thinking it needs to look like something from Pinterest when really it's about the people that are involved, and that's what's important.
Yeah, Pinterest. Oh, I love it, but it's that love-hate relationship that makes
I
me
think
feel like,
Pinterest is the downfall for a lot of people.
oh yeah, it just makes me feel like, oh, and I love it because I love to look at these tablescapes and I love to look at these creative ideas. Then when it comes down to having somebody over, then I'm stuck because in my head it has to look like that. So give me some ideas of some of the things for you that have freed you up from that mindset.
Well, one of the things is I'm not much of a perfectionist. I think I've gotten over that tendency quite a few years ago. So that makes a big difference. Another thing is I just realized that there's so many people that are lonely, and I can also get lonely, and if we let that get in the way, then we are just really missing out on some great relationships with people. So I mean, like, one of the things is, if you come to my house at 10 o'clock in the morning and you stop by unexpectedly, it's very likely that the house hasn't been cleaned up, or breakfast dishes are still in on the counter. There could be kids still in saggy diapers because we haven't quite gotten them changed from the night before. And that's just my life. So if you come to my house, I will welcome you in, but it is going to be my life. So I haven't had a chance to clean things up, and that's okay because you are the important person. It's not about what my house looks like. So that's one thing I've done to get over it. The second thing is practice. We have people over a lot because we enjoy people. So doing it again and again has allowed us to kind of get used to it and to know what's important and what's not. So if someone calls and says, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes, we don't worry so much about the crumbs on the floor, but we do go make sure the main bathroom's cleaned up, stuff like that. So it's practice makes a big difference in getting over some of those hurdles.
Oh, that's great advice. I know my mom used to say, master one menu. And if you repeat that menu over and over again, who knows? And actually,
Awesome.
she did say that there was when they were first married, there was a young wife in their circle who always served meatloaf. That was her thing. She had a really great meatloaf, and every time they went over there for dinner, they just knew they were going to have this meatloaf, and they loved it. They loved that they knew that this is what she had mastered for guests, and they didn't care. And I think that's the bottom line. Like, how many times have you had somebody say to you, I couldn't care less about having to move laundry over on your couch. I just love being on your couch.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the things that we've learned at Preschoolers in Peace is that it's about being real. And I think that's what our readers are telling us, is that they love, the picture I posted in January of my kitchen in the middle of a day. And that got a huge response because it was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Well, my kitchen looks like that a lot. And, by the end of the day, it got cleaned up, and that was great. But it means that this is just what life's about. So hospitality is not about perfection. It's about being who you are and really reaching out to other people. So I want to encourage people to not think about, oh, I can't make this 5-course meal. If your deal is meatloaf, then you make meatloaf. If it's pancakes, then make breakfast for dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's that kind of stuff. Let's not get hung up on those kind of details. Let's think about the people that are involved, because they don't care if they have to move the laundry off the couch. They don't care if there's blocks all over the floor. They just want to come and talk to you. They don't care so much about the food. Now, I'll say there are some people we've had over that it has made a difference. That kind of thing is important to them. So when I know that's the kind of person we're having, I try to prepare in advance, and I try to make things a little tidier on purpose because it's more pleasant for everyone that way. But I try not to let that be a hang-up. But if you've got someone coming that it's really important that, that there isn't any laundry on the couch, well, you put it in a basket and put it on your bed, because then it's taken care of. But just don't let those things get in the way. Hospitality is a spiritual gift. The scripture talks about it, and it is offering, it's about relationships with friends and strangers. So it is about entertaining angels unaware. It's those kind of things. We don't know the person that's coming into our home. We don't know where they are or what special plans God has for our time together. And I've had opportunities to talk to moms who are crying on the couch because their child or multiple children, they just don't know what to do, and they're overwhelmed and they're tired. And we have just talked while our kids played and made a gigantic mess. Or my big kids have taken their little kids down to the bedroom to play so we could have a little bit of quiet. I've had other times where moms have called and said, I just had a miscarriage yesterday. Can I come over because I just can't handle being alone? And having that mom come over, we dropped everything, and that was so important to us, because that mom, that relationship is important way more than whatever I had planned for that morning. So it's being available to what God has for us and not being caught up on those things like food and what your house looks like.
That's awesome. I think that is so freeing for so many people. And I'm going to be hospitable right now when I tell my son, hey, bud, I need you to go find your quiet spot to sit. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Thanks, bud.
And Kendra, that brings up a good point that one of our readers mentioned on our Facebook page this morning when we were talking about this. It's actually a friend of mine who lives here in town. And she said, remember that hospitality is not just in your home. It primarily is, but we can also show hospitality to people by bringing a meal to a new mom, to bringing some cookies to the new neighbor down the street, This particular friend that I have, she is the friendliest person at the supermarket. Like, she knows the name of every checker at Trader Joe's where she shops, and she knows the name of the pharmacist at the pharmacy. She just is that kind of person. And so hospitality it's a kind of a, it sounds corny, but like a state of being. It's a being open to those relationships that God is going to, or the people that God is going to put in your way, in your path, to see what does he want you to do. Well, he always wants us to draw people closer to him. So if our smile and offer of, a dozen muffins to the new neighbor, or even just taking over some cold water to people that are moving in, or the cable guy that comes to your door to sell you cable when you don't have a TV, that happens to me all the time. It's giving them a cold drink of water or whatever it might be. So it's kind of an attitude that we have. So don't say, "Oh, I don't have the gift of tongues." I'm sorry, made me giggle. I don't have the gift of hospitality. The gift of tongues is not required for hospitality. So you can't say that, because really it's something that God has asked all of us to do. So think about ways that you can do that. Maybe it's inviting a new mom over that you met at the park, or maybe it is going to say hello to the neighbors. Maybe it's having some kids over so another mom can have a break. Those are all things that you can do to be hospitable. Now, some of you are saying, yeah, but there still needs to be some food, right? Okay. So when you're thinking about what kind of food to serve, don't think about how crazy difficult it has to be. Jeremy and I, my husband and I, several years ago at a church where we did a program. No, it's not a program. It was a hospitality event that was called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And it was matching up mystery hosts with mystery guests. So no one knew where they were going until they arrived at the door. They just had an address. So in order to get people to sign up for this, I did some video advertisements at the church. And one of them was me opening up a can of soup, pouring it in, and saying, "That's all you have to do." So literally is opening a can of soup and heating it up, and add a loaf of bread, and you got a dinner. It's really not hard. It's not about the food. So don't get all crazy and think you have to make it this amazing meal. Another thing we do is like, "Oh, well, I can't handle dinner tonight. Why don't you come for dessert?" And you have some ice cream with some Hershey syrup on top. Or even just having some nice drinks. So like a couple weeks ago, we did a hangout, and I talked about the nectarine mint tea. Something like that, super easy. I have this great homemade lemonade recipe, which I'm going to post on the blog tomorrow. That's super easy to put together, doesn't cost a lot of money. Pop some popcorn. It's not about the food, but if you feel like food's a big deal, then have a few things up your sleeve where you can throw some popcorn in the microwave, or make some lemonade real quick. We have often had people over for just soup and bread and water, because either we didn't have a lot of food, we didn't have a lot of money, or we didn't have a lot of time, or combination. So just kind of think about those things. Like I said, it's about the attitude. It's not about what you're serving or what the house looks like.
I love it. And one of the things, I don't know if you're kind of realizing this as you're having more children, but a lot of people are intimidated to have a big family over for dinner. And so our family is often, we're just not invited to people's homes very often. I think, 10 people is a lot. But
Really?
It is, but when we are invited over, it's like a huge big deal to us and our kids, and we could not care less what people are serving. So we had one family, young couple. He was one of 10 kids, and so to have us over was nothing. He didn't care. And so we came over to this little house. Most of us sat on the floor in the living room. And we had, plates on our laps, and it was Costco lasagna and garlic bread. And I'm telling you what, we had a ball. And we went home we still talk about that, like how fun that was that their family opened their home to us. It was not a big deal, and none of us cared that we were sitting on the floor. And he knew, having been raised in this big family, that it just wasn't about having perfection. Probably in the family he grew up in, there was no perfection. It was grab as many chairs as you can find, or find a place to sit, and let's have dinner together. So that's freed me a lot.
Yeah, totally. You know, we were invited somewhere recently, and a great couple that we've gotten to know, and it turned out that we didn't have enough utensils for everybody. So we were using forks and spoons, and after the meal was over, we washed them up so we could have dessert. And it was no big deal because we didn't care. We were happy to be invited over, and we were happy to be having great conversation with people, and so it just didn't matter. So yeah, I mean, I know I've said it 12 times already, but it's about relationships, and that is why, you know, on my Facebook I'll say, hey, Jeremy's gone, come on over for, you know, you've got mail and some ice cream, and I do that all the time because there's other people like me who want to be together with people but just don't want to make the call. Maybe they're a little bit nervous or whatever. So I really want to encourage you to think about who can you invite over, or who do you need to be reaching out to. It could be a single person at church. It could be an elderly person from church or down the street. It could be just all kinds of people. My husband and I have had, well, in your family is the same. You've had exchange students, and you've had, you know, long-term guests for different reasons. We've had international visitors come and stay for 3 months, that total strangers that we didn't know. We've had Chinese high school students stay with us for a year. All kinds of things, and those relationships are so valuable to the family and to our kids. And this brings up another thing that I wanted to mention is, you know, what about all the kids? So, you know, when we have people over, it's not just me having people over. It's a family thing, and we've tried to develop in our family that it's a part of our family culture, because it's not just mommy's deal, and it's not just daddy's deal. It's everybody. So, you know, the kids, I ask them to, hey, remember, we've got a couple little friends coming. I want you guys to look out for them and play with them. We talk about how when mommy's talking, it's important that you don't interrupt unless, you know, someone's bleeding or something like that. They don't always listen. They don't, you know, there's often interruptions, but it's kind of their way of understanding that these people are important, and we're going to put aside what we want to do and put these other people ahead of us. So those are kind of, you know, how we deal. And again, anyone coming to our house knows that we have a large family, that we have little children. It is loud, and there are crumbs on the floor, and there's been more than one person that's come to our house and had to wipe off their seat because they didn't know what was on it and they weren't going to sit down. So, but it doesn't matter. Again, they're not coming for perfection. They're coming for the relationships. And if someone's coming and they're judging you for what your house looks like, then that's a whole other issue that they're going to have to deal with, and it's not your deal. So I wouldn't let that frustrate you. So don't worry about the kids. It's really, really okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then the other thing with that is I just have a, you know, I have to write everything down. So I have a document, a Word doc, that's got all the things that need to be done before people come over. Sometimes we have the time, but like you're saying, you know, sometimes people drop by and it's like, hey, run, make sure the bathroom's clean, so they have a clean place to go to the bathroom if they need to.
Make sure there's toilet paper.
Make sure there's toilet paper, exactly. But if we're going to have people over, this list maybe with all of us engaged, and which really is probably 5 of my children plus Fletch and me, we can get it done in 15 minutes, maybe even 10. So, you know, one person has the job of the front bathroom, one person needs to go around and pick the junk up off the stairs and get it thrown upstairs behind a door, you know, just stuff like that. And then it is sort of a welcoming environment, but it is a family thing. So I'll put that in the notes or the blog post that we put with this video.
Oh, great. Yeah. And, you know, I was thinking a long time ago in the old internet days, I had a blog called Philoxenos. Actually, we've learned now it's pronounced Philoxenos, but anyway, it's Greek for hospitality, and it means friends, strangers. And I often read through it because it's still up, but I won't give you the address because it's like old WordPress days. Anyway, but I talk a lot about like the meals that I serve, or some recipes that I found that are easy, and it's about the friends and strangers thing. And when I talk to people, I talk a lot I've already said this, but I'll just say it again. It's just about the relationships, and it is so important to me that people know that they are special and that they are made by someone that loves them, and their creator thinks that they are amazing. And that, if you can get that across to someone, that spending a few minutes with them helps them to know that God loves them, then you've done an amazing thing. So I want to encourage our readers and our listeners today, if you can think of someone, find that person and, make some lemonade. I'll give you the recipe tomorrow. Make some lemonade or pop some popcorn, make some soup, pick up pizza. Oh, yeah, Little Caesars $5 pizzas. Yeah, that's awesome. So whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable, paper plates, napkins, whatever, it is okay. And I want to hear your stories. Who are you inviting over? How has your life, what difference have you made once you make the decision to practice hospitality? Because those are some stories that I would love to hear.
Oh, that's great. Well, my hope always with Preschoolers in Peace is that we don't leave people with a list or feeling more burdened to have to take something out and, this is the mark of a really great Christian woman, or this is the mark of a really great Christian mom, or, that checklist kind of thing. And I hope that you have freed some women up from this, because I think your message is it's about loving other people, and loving other people is not about perfection, and it's not about performance. It's just about opening a door and saying, let me hear your heart. That would be our desire with this Google Hangout today, is to just not leave you feeling like, oh, great, now I have all these other things I have to do, but that you would be freed up to love people well. And sometimes hospitality is about, it's not necessarily about grabbing a stranger. Sometimes it's just that person who's right next to you that you maybe hadn't thought of reaching out to before.
Yes, and actually that brings up one kind of last point, is that sometimes I forget that my biggest mission field, I believe, is my own family. And I will get kind of wrapped up in the other people that are outside my house and forget about the ones that are inside my house. And so sometimes I have to make a real effort to practice hospitality with my own children. And it's super simple, but it's just, grabbing one of them and helping them, they can stay up a few minutes later and we talk, and maybe we make some hot chocolate in the winter, or, we'll get some ice cream or something like that. But it's spending that relationship time with my own children, because I can practice hospitality with them as well. And that's probably my biggest area that I can grow in, because I have recognized that they are so important as well. So maybe the thought of having a stranger or someone new over kind of freaks you out. Think about your own kids. What can you do to share God's love with them too? But like Kendra said, it's not about a checklist. It's not about what you're doing. It's who you are in Christ. So, yeah. That was an odd ending for me, but
well, I think we can just end by saying, love God and love your neighbor. That's what we're commanded to do, and oftentimes loving our neighbor is just setting aside our own insecurities and saying, you know what, I'm secure in Jesus, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of my home or my food or my family, because that's not, my identity isn't in how well I perform. It doesn't have to be Pinterest or Martha Stewart. My identity is in Jesus, and I'm free to love others like Jesus.
Amen. Well said.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. We will see you back here next Monday. I'm not sure we know what the topic is, but we'll be here.
All right. Thanks a lot, you guys, for joining us.